You won't believe these giant creature-shaped rocks actually exist. A rock that looks exactly like a giant creature peacefully asleep? A rock formation that seems as if it were created by AI or heavily edited in Photoshop. But it's completely real, sculpted 100% by nature. These incredible formations have existed for millions, and in some cases even billions of years, long before humans ever appeared on Earth. One looks like a gigantic elephant drinking from the ocean. Another resembles an ancient turtle peacefully sleeping in the middle of the desert. There's even a place where a massive serpent's head has convinced millions of people that they've discovered the remains of a legendary creature. Hello everyone, and welcome to Discovery Fact. My friends, if you only saw photos of these incredible formations, you'd probably assume they were created by artificial intelligence or the result of elaborate digital editing. But believe it or not, the truth is even more astonishing. Every rock formation on today's list is completely real and was shaped entirely by nature, carefully sculpted by wind, water, changing temperatures, and the relentless passage of time over millions of years. What's even more fascinating is that these formations don't just vaguely resemble living creatures. Their astonishing details make them look almost alive. And behind every one of them lies a remarkable geological story, mysterious legends passed down through generations, and natural phenomena that scientists are still working to understand. So where exactly are these extraordinary rock formations? What do they really look like? What secrets are hidden behind their incredible shapes? And how did nature manage to sculpt them into forms that seem almost impossible? On today's journey, we're going to explore some of the world's most extraordinary rock formations that resemble gigantic creatures. And be sure to stay until the very end of the video because the final rock formation may leave you wondering whether it's really just a coincidence of nature or something even more mysterious. Are you ready? Then let's begin with a silent giant that appears to be lowering its head to drink from the icy waters off the coast of Iceland. Iceland's Elephant Rock, the volcanic masterpiece the world thought was photoshopped. If you came across a photo of this rock formation on social media, chances are your first thought would be that it had been edited. A gigantic elephant with its long trunk lowered toward the ocean, complete with enormous ears, deep eye sockets, a massive head, and a remarkably lifelike body. It simply looks too perfect to be real. But it's not. This is a genuine masterpiece created entirely by nature. Our journey takes us to Heimi Island, part of the Vestmannaeyjar, Westman Islands, off the southern coast of Iceland. This is a land born from fire. Over thousands of years, repeated volcanic eruptions built towering basalt cliffs, transforming the island into one of the most breathtaking landscapes in the North Atlantic. Among hundreds of uniquely shaped sea stacks and rock formations, one stands out above them all. Locals simply call it Elephant Rock. You know, what makes this formation so extraordinary isn't just that it resembles an elephant, it's how astonishingly accurate the resemblance is. Viewed from the sea, its long trunk appears to reach down and touch the water's surface. On either side, huge ears seem to wrap around its head. Dark crevices in the rock look exactly like watchful eyes quietly gazing across the ocean. Even its skin gives many visitors goosebumps, because the rough, wrinkled volcanic surface looks strikingly similar to the thick, weathered skin of a real elephant. So what created this incredible natural masterpiece? The answer isn't magic, it's nature's extraordinary patience. The entire island of Heimi was formed by basalt lava that cooled after countless volcanic eruptions. Over time, the relentless waves of the North Atlantic repeatedly crashed against the cliffs. Year after year, powerful surf, strong winds, and constant temperature changes slowly eroded the weaker sections of rock while leaving behind increasingly unusual formations. Even more remarkable, the porous volcanic basalt, after centuries of exposure to seawater, developed naturally uneven textures and ridges. That rugged surface is what gives the elephant's skin such an incredibly lifelike appearance. The longer you look at it, the more it feels as though one powerful wave could make the giant elephant slowly lift its trunk and step out of the sea. But perhaps the most fascinating part of this rock formation is that it is connected to one of Iceland's most inspiring chapters in history. In 1973, the Eldfell volcano suddenly erupted on Jaime Island. Rivers of glowing lava threatened to bury the town and destroy its harbor, the lifeline of thousands of residents. In an unprecedented rescue effort, the islanders continuously pumped cold seawater onto the advancing lava flows in an attempt to cool them and redirect their path. After weeks of relentless work, they succeeded in saving the harbor and preserving the island itself. Today, around 4,500 people still call Jaime, the largest island in the Westman Islands, home. And this land forged by fire is also home to one of nature's most celebrated sculptures. It's not just tourists who travel here. Photographers from around the world come in search of the perfect view of Elephant Rock. Seen from a helicopter or a drone, the formation looks like a colossal elephant swimming through the deep blue Atlantic. Standing at the base of the cliffs, however, the constant roar of crashing waves makes the illusion feel even more alive. Perhaps the most astonishing thing isn't that nature created a rock resembling an elephant. It's that with nothing more than lava, ocean waves, and time, nature sculpted a formation so unbelievably perfect that millions of people around the world still assume the photos must be fake. After seeing this incredible masterpiece, I imagine you're thinking the same thing I am, aren't you? But if a gigantic elephant rising from the sea is enough to amaze you, then I think our next destination will leave you even more stunned. This time, in the middle of America's barren desert, an ancient creature appears to have been curled up in peaceful sleep for hundreds of millions of years. Is it merely an incredible coincidence? Or is the human brain seeing something that nature never actually intended to create? Let's find out. The giant turtle that has been sleeping for over 100 million years. Nature's masterpiece that tricks every eye. Leaving the icy waters of Iceland behind, we're now heading somewhere completely different. Gone are the crashing waves and towering basalt cliffs. Instead, we find ourselves in the harsh, sun-baked landscape of Joshua Tree National Park in California. During the day, the blazing desert sun scorches the ground. At night, temperatures drop dramatically. It is this unforgiving environment that has helped create one of the world's most extraordinary rock formations. From a distance, many people can hardly believe what they're seeing. Right in the middle of the desert appears the unmistakable silhouette of a gigantic turtle lying perfectly still, as if peacefully asleep. Its smoothly curved shell, slightly extended head, massive body, and remarkably balanced proportions are so convincing that, without knowing the truth beforehand, many visitors assume it must be a giant sculpture placed there by human hands. Do you think it was carved by an artist? Not at all. No human has ever sculpted this rock. It is known as Turtle Rock. And just like Iceland's Elephant Rock, it is another masterpiece quietly crafted by nature over an almost unimaginable span of time. According to geologists, Turtle Rock was formed from a massive granite body that is more than 100 million years old. In its earliest stage, it looked nothing like the smooth, rounded formation we see today. It originally existed deep underground as molten magma. As the magma gradually cooled, it contracted, creating countless fractures that spread through the rock in multiple directions. But if the story ended there, Turtle Rock would be no different from thousands of other granite formations around the world. The real difference is time. For tens of millions of years, groundwater slowly seeped into every tiny crack. Minerals inside the rock gradually broke down, while wind, rain, and constant cycles of heating and cooling continued to wear away its surface. Little by little, the sharp edges disappeared, replaced by smooth, rounded curves. Geologists call this process spheroidal weathering. Simply put, nature acted like an incredibly patient sculptor, using nothing but water, wind, and time to polish every corner of the rock. Not over a few years or even a few centuries, but over tens of millions of years. The result is the enormous turtle shell we see today. But here's an even more fascinating question. Why does almost everyone who looks at Turtle Rock immediately see a turtle? Scientists believe the answer lies in a remarkable psychological phenomenon known as pareidolia. This is the brain's natural tendency to recognize familiar patterns and shapes in random or lifeless objects. It's the same reason people see faces on the moon, human figures in the clouds, or animals hidden within rock formations. And Turtle Rock is almost a perfect example of this phenomenon. From one angle, the protruding section of the rock looks exactly like a turtle stretching its head out of its shell to look around. Walk just a few dozen feet farther, and the head suddenly seems to pull back while the body appears even rounder. Move again, and many people feel as though the giant creature has actually shifted its position. These constantly changing perspectives leave many visitors circling the rock for several minutes, trying to discover the angle where the turtle looks the most convincing. Some even joke that Turtle Rock is playing hide and seek with its visitors. Every time you change your position, it seems to transform right before your eyes. Yet Turtle Rock is famous for far more than its unusual appearance. For rock climbers, it is also one of the most popular destinations in Joshua Tree National Park. Its solid granite surface provides excellent grip, while its countless natural cracks create climbing routes suitable for everyone, from complete beginners to experienced professionals. Every year, tens of thousands of visitors come here not only to photograph the famous stone turtle, but also to challenge themselves on the unique granite formation surrounding it. What's truly remarkable is that even though geologists have studied Turtle Rock extensively, it still leaves many people with the feeling that there's something almost magical about it. Because when you stand before this enormous formation, it's surprisingly difficult to see it as just another piece of granite. Your first instinct is that you're looking at an ancient creature turned to stone while resting, as if, given just a few more seconds, it might slowly open its eyes and begin walking across the desert. What about you? When you saw this giant rock for the very first time, what did you see? Did you immediately recognize a turtle, or did it remind you of something completely different? Let me know in the comments below. I can't wait to hear what you saw. The 50-foot rock that looks like a dinosaur drinking water, Iceland's mysterious sea beast. If our last stop introduced us to a giant turtle peacefully sleeping in the American desert, this time our journey takes us back to Iceland, the land often called the Kingdom of Fire and Ice. But instead of the gentle elephant we explored earlier, we're about to encounter a creature that appears far more powerful and mysterious. Rising from the icy waters of Hunaflói Bay on the Vatnsnes Peninsula in northern Iceland stands a towering rock formation about 50 feet tall. Seen from a distance, it looks remarkably like a prehistoric dinosaur lowering its head to drink from the sea. Two massive legs are firmly planted in the water, its arched back gives it an imposing silhouette, and its head stretches toward the ocean surface as if silently watching for prey. This is Hvitserkur, one of Iceland's most famous and most photographed natural landmarks. Interestingly, no one can agree on what it actually resembles. Some people insist it's a dinosaur bending down along the shoreline. Others see a dragon straight out of Norse mythology. Many visitors compare it to a rhinoceros, an elephant, or even an alien creature that has just landed on Earth. And just like Turtle Rock, this is largely the result of pareidolia, the brain's natural tendency to recognize familiar shapes in random, lifeless objects. That's why every person seems to discover a different creature within the very same rock. But while the legends change with people's imagination, the geological story behind Hvitserkur is much more straightforward. According to geologists, Hvitserkur is the eroded remnant of an ancient volcanic plug. Thousands of years ago, it was part of a much larger rock mass. Over countless centuries, however, the relentless waves of the North Atlantic battered its base, while powerful winds, freezing temperatures, and constant cycles of heating and cooling gradually wore away the weaker sections of the rock. Eventually, only the hardest core remained, the striking formation we see today. To protect Hvitserkur from continued erosion, engineers reinforced its base with concrete many years ago. Without that support, the powerful North Atlantic waves could gradually undermine the formation and threaten its long-term stability. But you know what makes Hvitserkur truly unforgettable? It's not just its incredible shape. For generations, the people of Iceland have passed down a fascinating local legend about this mysterious sea stack. Standing before Hvitserkur at sunrise or sunset, surrounded by drifting mist and the endless sound of crashing waves, it's hard not to imagine that you're looking at an ancient creature frozen in time. There's another fascinating detail that many visitors overlook. The name Hvitserkur actually means white shirt in Icelandic. At first, that doesn't seem to have anything to do with a dinosaur or a dragon, but the name comes from the white streaks covering much of the rock's surface. They're not snow, they're not mineral deposits. They're actually layers of seabird droppings. Why? Because Hvitserkur serves as a nesting site for numerous seabirds, including gulls, northern fulmars, and European shags. Over many years, their droppings have accumulated across the dark basalt, creating bright white patches that reminded local people of a giant white shirt draped over the massive rock. In many ways, Hvitserkur is more than just an extraordinary geological masterpiece. It is also a thriving miniature ecosystem rising from the middle of the sea. The giant serpent, stretching dozens of feet that took Thailand by storm. the truth behind the 16.9 million view video. My friends, if the first 3 rock formations we explored were shaped by geological processes that took millions of years, our next destination became famous for a completely different reason. It all started with a TikTok video that lasted only a few dozen seconds. Suddenly, all of Thailand was buzzing about a mysterious giant snake lying along a riverbank. Millions of people believed they had discovered the remains of the legendary Naga, while scientists quickly offered a very different explanation. So what is the truth? Let's go back to late September 2025, when a video recorded along the Kek River in Khao Ko District, Phetchabun Province, began spreading rapidly across Thai social media. In a remarkably short time, the clip attracted more than 16.9 million views on TikTok and quickly became one of the country's hottest topics. In the video, a long, dark object can be seen stretching in graceful curves along the riverbank. Its head rises slightly above the shore while the rest of its body extends beside the flowing water. With sunlight reflecting off the river, the entire scene looks almost exactly like a gigantic snake lying perfectly still, waiting for the right moment to slip into the water. Many viewers watched the clip over and over again. The longer they looked, the more convinced they became that it couldn't possibly be just a rock. The comments quickly poured in. Some insisted it was evidence of the Naga, the sacred serpent revered in the traditions of many Southeast Asian countries. Others believed it was a good omen, a sign that the area possessed special spiritual energy. Some people even began planning trips just to see the mysterious snake with their own eyes. Instead of jumping to conclusions, however, several Thai journalists decided to visit the site themselves. The location was identified near Khao Ko National Park, close to the border between Phetchabun and Phitsanulok provinces. Reaching it wasn't easy. Starting from the bridge connecting the two provinces, they had to hike for more than half a mile along the riverbank, following narrow paths normally used only by local fishermen. The trail was quite narrow, with many sections covered in loose stones and exposed tree roots, making the journey slow and requiring careful footing. When they finally arrived, the view looked almost identical to what appeared in the viral video. From a distance, the rock truly does resemble a giant snake. Its front end protrudes slightly toward the water, while the rest of the formation curves naturally along the riverbank, creating the unmistakable impression of a massive serpent winding beside the river. Even more convincing are the countless long cracks running across its surface, which look strikingly similar to overlapping snake scales. If you stand at the exact same angle as the person who filmed the TikTok video, it's easy to understand why millions of people believed what they were seeing. But as the reporters moved closer, the answer became increasingly clear. It wasn't a living creature. It wasn't a fossil. It was simply a naturally formed rock. So why does it look so much like a giant snake? According to Professor Jasada Denduang Borapant of Chulalongkorn University, this is a completely natural geological phenomenon. He explained that the rock's surface likely developed its distinctive cracks because of dramatic temperature changes between day and night. As the rock repeatedly expanded under the daytime heat and contracted after sunset, cracks gradually formed and spread over time, creating patterns that closely resemble the scales of a reptile. In addition, the flowing waters of the Kek River have slowly eroded the rock's surface over tens of millions of years. Wind, rain, and the constant current gradually smoothed its sharp edges, making the front of the formation appear increasingly rounded and even more like the head of a snake. There's another fascinating detail. Right beside the rock is a small whirlpool. When sunlight reflects off the water, the rock's shadow combines with the rippling surface to create a powerful optical illusion. From a distance, many people feel as though the snake is gently moving with the current. It's precisely this combination of natural shape and the perfect viewing angle that creates such a remarkably convincing illusion. This is also a textbook example of the phenomenon we mentioned earlier, pareidolia. The human brain naturally searches for familiar patterns. When we see a curved rock that resembles the body of a snake, our brains almost instantly fill in the missing pieces, convincing us that we're looking at a real creature. Even so, the scientific explanation hasn't diminished the site's appeal. Quite the opposite. Many local residents continue to believe the place holds deep spiritual significance. They visit to light incense, pray for peace and good fortune, and regard the rock as a symbol of blessing for the Khao Ko region. Some local newspapers have even described the site as a miniature version of Tom Naka, the famous destination in Bangkok province known for its serpent-shaped rock formations. It's remarkable to think that a simple video on social media transformed an ordinary rock into a nationwide sensation. And whether you believe in the legend of the Naga or prefer the explanation offered by geology, one thing is impossible to deny. Nature has an extraordinary way of making us stop, stare, and keep asking questions. 3 stone whales more than 75 million years old. The natural wonder that makes an entire mountain look like it's swimming through the clouds. After leaving the banks of the Kek River and the story of the giant serpent that took social media by storm, our journey continues to another remarkable destination in Thailand. This time, however, the star attraction isn't a single rock formation. Instead, it's 3 enormous rock formations resting side by side along a mountaintop, creating a breathtaking sight that makes many first-time visitors rub their eyes, convinced they're looking down at the ocean. Seen from above, the 3 massive rocks look exactly like 3 giant whales surfacing from the sea. This is Hin Sam Wan, one of the most famous natural wonders in Bangkok province located in northeastern Thailand, more than 465 miles from Bangkok. The name Hin Sam Wan translates simply as 3 whale rocks. Just hearing the name is enough to spark curiosity, isn't it? But it's only when you see them in person that you truly understand why this has become one of Thailand's most spectacular scenic viewpoints. 3 gigantic granite formations lie almost perfectly in a row along the mountain ridge. The largest resembles the broad back of a whale rising above the ocean's surface, while the other 2 stretch out behind it, creating the impression of a family of whales quietly swimming through a sea of clouds. Early in the morning, thick fog blankets the valleys below, leaving only the 3 whalebacks emerging from an endless ocean of white. The view is so breathtaking that many people describe it as something out of a surreal painting. Perhaps that's why watching the sunrise from the back of the whales has become the most unforgettable experience at Hin Sam Wan. As the first rays of sunlight pierce through the mist, a soft golden glow spreads across the ancient granite, creating a scene that is both majestic and peaceful. From this vantage point, you can see for miles, overlooking the winding Mekong River as it snakes through forests and mountains, along with the mountain ranges of neighboring Laos across the border. The scenery is so spectacular that many photographers willingly wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning just to capture the moment when the sun rises behind the whales. But Hin Sam Wan is famous for much more than its incredible beauty. According to geologists, these 3 granite formations are approximately 75 million years old. Over that immense span of time, the layers of rock and soil above them were gradually worn away by rain, wind, and changing climates. The softer rock slowly disappeared, exposing the much harder granite beneath. As millions of years passed, natural fractures combined with weathering sculpted smooth, rounded curves, giving the 3 formations the unmistakable appearance of whales surfacing from the ocean. Even more fascinating, from certain viewing angles, many people don't see whales at all. Instead, they believe the 3 rocks resemble a gigantic spacecraft that has just landed on the mountaintop. And once again, we encounter the phenomenon known as pareidolia. Our brains naturally try to connect random shapes into familiar images. That's why the very same landscape can inspire completely different interpretations from different people. For the local community, however, Hin Sam Wan is much more than an extraordinary geological formation. It is also connected to a legend that has been passed down through generations. According to local folklore, this region was once home to 3 sacred whales. The villagers believed these whales were guardian spirits that guided fishermen safely through the waters and blessed them with abundant catches. One day, while swimming close to shore, the 3 whales accidentally became tangled in fishermen's nets. Instead of keeping them, the fishermen quickly cut the nets and set the whales free. The 3 whales quietly swam back into the open sea and were never seen again. To honor their gratitude and remember the protection of these guardians of the sea, the local people named these formations Hin Sam Wan, the 3 whale rocks. Of course, this is only a traditional legend, but like so many of the world's greatest natural wonders, stories like these make the landscape feel even more meaningful and unforgettable. So, we've just explored some of the world's most incredible rock formations that resemble gigantic creatures. Extraordinary masterpieces quietly sculpted by nature over millions, and in some cases even billions, of years. Each one amazed us not only with its astonishingly lifelike appearance, but also with the incredible story it tells about the power of time and the forces of geology. Which rock formation impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next adventures exploring the world's most fascinating natural wonders. Until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.